precautions that people need to take during this season.
Tunaona hizi sudden changes kwamba unakuta one day it's nice and bright, jua linawaka vizuri, the next day yani kila kitu kinakuwa kimebadilika ghafla sana.
Tunaona kwamba misimu yetu ya mvua pia nayo imekuwa na mabadiliko makubwa mwaka hadi mwaka, na hivyo kulazimisha kwamba upatikanaji na utumiaji wa taarifa za hali ya hewa iwe ndio njia pekee ya kukabiliana na mazingira ya hali ya hewa ambayo tunayo kwa sasa.
This Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on Capital Television, your channel of choice.
Capital News tonight. President Magufuli begins a 2-day state visit in Malawi. Sixteen people found dead due to heavy rains in Uganda. Guinea enters into the AFCON Under-17 finals. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. President Magufuli has started a 2-day state visit in Malawi following an invitation from the President of Malawi, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika. President Magufuli, along with his wife, Janet Magufuli, were received by their host, President Mutharika, shortly after arriving in Malawi at Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe. While in Lilongwe, President Magufuli will hold talks with President Mutharika and attend a state banquet held in his honor. Tomorrow, the president will complete his visit by opening a tobacco market as well as speak with the stakeholders of the harvest. He will later return to Tanzania, where he will begin a 2-day working tour in Mbeya region.
Our two countries signed a memorandum of understanding to construct one-stop border at Songwe Kasumuro. But its implementation, as this far, have been very slow. Since 2014, today is 2019. We need therefore, Your Excellency, to call upon our relevant authorities to speed up the implementation of this agreement so as to facilitate trade.
Tanzania has been supported from Malawi from various candidates at both regional and international levels. Malawi will always be grateful for such support. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate the Excellencies for assuming the role of the incoming chair of the SADC. I'd like to assure Your Excellency of my support of your chairmanship as SADC. Your Excellency might be aware that since the establishment of our relations, our two countries have benefited from each other in different areas of social, economic development.
Some members of parliament have showed a dissatisfaction with the speed of provision of the national identification cards to Tanzanians by the government through NIDA, with 19.93 registered, while the goal was to register 24 million people.
The Ministry of Home Affairs entered into a contract in September 2014, and the contract was to end in 2016, which was extended to 2018. So we must talk about this, as the right to have a national ID is a right of every Tanzanian. This delay is not for any other reason other than the fact that machines are only available in Dar es Salaam.
haliko halisia.
When delivering his ministry's budget, Minister Lugola listed strategies for the 2019-2020 financial year as being to reduce congestion in prisons, to provide alternative sentences, as well as to focus on production of food for prisoners, while the Parliament's Permanent Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defence and Security complained on budget funds not being dispersed despite the advice they provide.
The ministry is planning to add Katavi, Lindi and Ruvuma in implementing alternative punishment to serving a jail term, to be later spread to the rest of regions. The ministry will also increase efficiency on the time taken to investigate cases so that those who serve long-term jail time can serve part of it outside, in return reducing congestion in our prisons.
Upatikanaji wa fedha zilizoidhinishwa na bunge.
The availability of funds approved by the House of Parliament, particularly on development, is still a big challenge and has been the case for a long time. In 2016-17 and in 2017-18, the committee has continued to advise the government through the Treasury on the need to release the funds on time. Nonetheless, the flow of cash for this ministry has been unsatisfactory. Honorable Chair, by February 20th, 2019, the ministry had only received 79.4% only of the funds approved for the ministry expenses.
Residents of Mtwara region, especially fishermen and those living in low-lying areas, have been told to take caution to avoid Cyclone Kenneth, which is moving at 70 kilometers per hour and is expected to reach the region tomorrow morning from the north of Madagascar.
It is clear that Mtwara is the target, therefore it is important that we take all precaution necessary. This cyclone will be followed by strong winds, heavy rain, lightning and strong waves. So it is important to inform the public about this. We would like to inform the general public to take caution, especially for those who use water vessels, to take extra caution, especially for tomorrow, and for those who live in flood-prone areas, to vacate tomorrow and wait and see what will happen. It is very important to be cautious.
A day after the police force's anti-drugs unit, ADU, caught 3 foreign nationals, including one who calls themselves a pastor, trying to transport 4.87 kilograms of heroin, have been taken to Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court and charged with economic sabotage in case number 33-2019.
The state prosecutor, Batilda Mushi, listed the accused as Linda Mazure, age 21, and Martin Pavins, age 20, an engineer who is a Latvian national, as well as Henry Oguanyu, age 44, a Nigerian businessman who calls himself a pastor. When reading the charges against them before Magistrate Agustin Rizile, Mushi claimed that the accused together are charged with transporting heroin on the 17th of April this year at Julius Nyerere International Airport. After the charges were read, they were not required to respond, as Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court has no authority to listen to cases of economic sabotage without a special permit. Mushi claimed that investigation into the case is still incomplete and has asked for the case to come up for mention at a later date. Magistrate then adjourned.
The government has finally resolved a long-standing land dispute between investors and residents of 5 villages in Lokusale and Nalalani wards in Monduli district for taking more than 2,800 acres from investors and giving it to the residents, but giving 100 days for residents who built within the investors' farm to move from the area. Minister Lukuvi made the announcement when speaking to both the residents and investors in an open meeting in order to find a resolution to the dispute.
Na hizi ardhi zinarudi kwenye serikali ya vijiji, sio mtu amepewa.
The land will go back to the village council and not to individuals. So Nararani village will be given back to the village council, 820 hectares of it, so you can plan on how it is to be used. Nafco village, you will be given 513 hectares in this title deed, so you can plan afresh too. This is village property and doesn't belong to any individual. Villagers will sit together and decide on how it is supposed to be used. Roksare, 366 hectares, and Tukusi, 301 hectares. After Honorable Minister has made a decision regarding this matter, anyone who goes against what has been decided will be arrested, and no one will come to your defense. We need investors and the general public to have a relationship based on respect. Tanform has helped many villages. Now that the conflict has been resolved, I ask that we may work together.
The government has handed over 688.6 billion shilling check, which is equivalent to $309.6 million to the contractor of the River Rufiji electricity shoring project from Arab Contractor Company as preliminary payments.
To pay such a huge initial project installment in this country, the first time is a lot. 688 billion, almost 700 billion at one go. The government has been able to achieve this by using its own money. This is a very big project. We've seen a lot of projects undertaken inside the country whereby the initial deposit is at least 50 billion or below 100 billion. With this project, the government has been able to pay 688 billion at once. The Rufiji hydroelectric plant will give us reliable supply of electricity at an affordable price, which in return will promote growth of industries and a better life for Tanzanians. The initial payment will enable the contractor to mobilize equipment to the project site and start construction immediately according to the contract.
And we can implement the project at the highest level of quality, safety, and in the time specified, with your expected cooperation to achieve the prosperity and development desired by the brotherly people of Tanzania. I am also here to convey my sincere appreciation and respect to the government and the Tanzanian people, from the government and the Egyptian people, wishing God the success and progress of all our friendly African countries, with my sincere wishes to the brotherly Tanzanian people.
The Minister of Minerals, Dr. Biteko, has refused to open Nyarugusu mine in Geita region that was shut down 7 months ago by the Deputy Minister, Stanislaus Nyongo, until the ongoing conflict between directors of the mine and the investor is resolved. Minister Biteko gave the stance after visiting the mine with the aim of hearing about the conflict between 17 directors of Nyarugusu gold mine and an investor with a Ferrant processing company, where he directed that the differences be resolved so that the public can continue with mining activities.
The image they portrayed, I cannot possibly reopen this mine. Even the one who appointed me will be surprised that I'm reopening the mine for the people who are dishonest. First of all, they've stolen from us. We asked them to bring back the gold, but they chose to be dishonest again by bringing back gold that was not taken from here. Secondly, my fellow Tanzanians are owed millions of shillings in salaries and contributions. If they choose to go to court, then this plant will be seized. You owe the government tax, and some of your suppliers have not been paid.
Walifunga kwa ajili ya tatizo la
They closed this area after some gold was smuggled. Those responsible were taken to court and charged accordingly, and the sentence was given. The accused were also required to pay 10 million in fine.
The residents of Nchakama village in Kilwa district, Lindi region, have asked the government and conservation stakeholders to work with researchers from Germany that are continuing to conserve the endangered Mnungunungu tree, which has been claimed to treat various human ailments.
This year, we planted at least 20,000 trees. This particular type is known to be used to treat diseases and has also been scientifically proven. This is a rare tree planted in certain areas frequented by Germans, but recently a team was sent out and found some trees. However, there is more that is going to be done to find out more about this tree.
That's all for national news. International news is next. And in international news, 19 people, including 15 children, have been confirmed dead, with 250 injured following heavy rains witnessed in Buyende and Kamuli, east of Uganda. More than 100 houses have been destroyed, leaving many without shelter.
The rain started and some of the food was crushed down.
With the East African community in the process of creating one currency that will be used among East African countries in 2024, the government of Kenya, through the Ministry of East African Intelligence, has questioned if the use of the currency will be a large move towards uniting people in East Africa.
We have a roadmap on how to get there, and the importance of having one currency is so that people do not lose the value of money when they exchange it. Youths are important at this point of the East African community in trying to bring about unity. They are the owners of the area, and nothing can be fulfilled without their support and involvement. In EALA, there is a place for youths, but these positions you find are taken by people who are not young, and this causes the youths challenges. We need them so that they can formulate their own policies.
Countries bordering each other in East Africa have been asked to work closely together to completely eradicate malaria, which has been listed as the most dangerous disease in Africa.
Uganda, Tanzania and the DRC have a large number of malaria patients. It is almost half of all patients in the African continent. If we do not work together, the number will not go down, and we as neighbors must work together, and this is the only way to reduce deaths related to malaria. Malaria is a very dangerous disease. We need to do something because it involves us. It is clear that our borders cannot stop malaria from entering another country. People living in 9 or 10 countries bordering each other must meet to discuss about this.
Kivu North, the Parliament has begun its first meeting since the delay of elections in Butembo and Beni due to lack of safety, with citizens asking the members of Parliament to avoid taking bribes.
We have written that member parliaments should not be corrupt because people are perishing here. Very dangerous. We have struggled enough. If people are continuing to die, roads are not being built, and if the youth are not getting jobs, they will help us to get jobs. They are the ones who should make follow-up, but they are stealing our money.
Press freedom has been a hot-button issue, not just here in Tanzania, but across Africa and the world. Just the other day, the 2019 Reporters Without Borders Index was published. With me is Thomas Sparrow, our Deutsche Welle correspondent, to talk about this further. Thomas, hello.
Hello.
So tell us more about this year's report. What are the key highlighted issues in this year?
I would say that maybe the key issue this year, according to Reporters Without Borders, is the fact that, at least according to them, there is an intense climate of fear and an unprecedented level of danger for journalists. That is the sort of general conclusion that the report presents, although, as you can imagine, there are differences when it comes to specific regions of the world.
So, Thomas, across Europe and as well as a significant part of the world, journalists are facing increased hostility, according to this index. In what context is hostility referred to here? And then how is press freedom in Germany and in Europe?
When you're talking about hostility that goes from, for example, direct violence against journalists or intimidation or harassment, for example, during protests, but it can also go even further. You may remember the cases, for example, in Malta or Slovakia, where journalists were actually killed. So when we're talking about elements or incidents that affect press freedom and freedom of expression, that are very difficult in this situation and that are highlighted by this report by Reporters Without Borders, we're talking about a wide range of issues. Now, you specifically asked about the situation here in Germany. Germany tends to be a rather safe place for journalists. That is something that also this organization highlights, but at the same time it has also stressed that even in countries where press freedom is guaranteed, where freedom of expression is also guaranteed, there are some problems. In the specific case of Germany, it mentions, for example, that during some protests, journalists were harassed, intimidated, and in some cases even violently attacked. So in general, you can say that the situation in Germany remains positive. All in all, Germany is still, as I say, a safe country for journalists, but there are instances in Germany that, according to Reporters Without Borders, are particularly worrisome.
Within this report, it's also stated that there's been progress in Africa. What type of progress has been mentioned?
Africa is, as other continents as well, a sort of mixed bag, because yes, on the one hand, the report mentions countries in Africa that have seen significant progress. In particular, it talks about Gambia and about Ethiopia. In the Ethiopian case, it stresses that a change of government in Ethiopia led to positive changes when it comes to freedom of the press. But on the other side of the spectrum, it also highlights, for example, that the Central African Republic faces considerable problems. In fact, it had a big drop in the press freedom index, and it highlights other countries like Eritrea or Sudan that are facing very big problems, and they are roughly at the bottom of the index. So you can see that the continent as a whole still faces considerable challenges, but in particular cases, like in the case of Ethiopia, Reporters Without Borders is seeing positive signs of change.
Thank you very much, Thomas. This report is quite, I guess, what we expected. There's some highs, there's some lows, but it's good to see that there is hope for change within press freedom, especially for us here in Africa. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And that is all for international news. We'll be back with business after this break.
Business Edition, as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
To be rich, I have to be a business person.
It's not an easy road at all.
People need to understand. You must quickly think, how cost effective are you going to be?
Business acts as a way in which it can bridge that gap.
Business Edition will keep you informed on latest developments in the financial sector, extractive industry, tourism, agriculture, energy, construction, and so much more. Meet entrepreneurs who create employment opportunities. Watch Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and in business news. Air Tanzania Company Limited, ATCL, has said that the number of passengers has continued to increase due to passengers being drawn to their continuously improving services.
Mwaka jana tumeanza 2018 mwishoni tumeanza safari zetu kwenda uwanja wa Entebbe na Bujumbura, na mwaka huu Februari tumeanza safari za Harare na Lusaka.
Lindi Regional Government has said that it is ready to receive investors of pesticides producing factories so they can stop ordering the products which they have in large part been ordering from outside the country.
Tell those who bring heavy cargo who are charged at the port to come and produce in the country. We have the area, we have the customers, and here are the distributors to tell them to come build the factories in the country.
Kikubwa ambacho TPRI inafanya.
TPRI is providing knowledge on the right use of pesticides so that the crops being produced and those that will be processed can have the quality accepted by multiple markets in the world so that we can sell them and bring in foreign exchange.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Engineer Matthew Mtigumwe, has ordered that up to May 15th of this year, the workforce preparing the preliminary draft of the second phase of the strategic plan to develop rice crops should have completed the draft, which is aimed at doubling the production of the crop.
The task force I appointed will start writing the strategic plan draft of developing rice for the second phase, keeping in mind that Kadim have planned to increase their production twice. Tanzania should also produce twice as much as we produced last year. It should be remembered that the second phase of the plan is the result of the first phase, and when the second phase is ready, the Ministry of Agriculture and other rice-producing stakeholders are expected to implement it. Currently, the appointed task force has collected important statistics for checking. We believe that after here, this strategy will help reach the current needs and solve the challenges facing rice, as we are innovators who will keep working closely with the government, especially the Ministry of Agriculture, in making sure that the plan is executed when it is ready, while at the end of the day, having an impact to the lives of the people and small-scale farmers.
That is all for business. Sports is next.
Hi, my name is Kotaro Tokuda.
What's up? My name is Céline Garnier.
I'm John Barnes from Liverpool Football Club. The hip, hop, a hip, the hip, hip, hop, and don't stop the rockin' to the bang, man. Boogie to up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now watch you here.
I'm watching Sports Gazette.
I'm watching Sport Gazette.
And you're watching Sports Gazette.
With Sebastian.
With Sebastian. Peace out.
Yes! And you can also watch Sports Gazette for highlights and interviews regarding sports. Do not miss Sports Gazette every Wednesday at 7 p.m. only on Capital Television.
And on to sports. The national under-17 team from Guinea has entered into the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations after beating Nigeria 10-9 during the penalty round. The game had initially ended 0-0, with both teams taking turns dominating the match. Cameroon will join Guinea after winning their semi against Angola, also by penalties. Lindi's Namungo FC has been promoted to the mainland Premier League, bringing a Lindi team to the league for the first time in 14 years.
Kwa kweli tuna furaha sana.
We are very happy we have succeeded in our aim. The leaders had the aim of reaching the Premier League for a very long time. We should first thank God and then the leaders who supported us very much, as well as the Lindi fans who have been behind us since day one.
Pep Guardiola said playing Manchester United at Old Trafford is not scary any longer. Here is more.
Once at Old Trafford in 7 visits since February 2011, a run that includes 6-1 and 3-0 victories. Asked about City's strong recent record at Old Trafford, Guardiola said, "I don't make theories about what happened in the past for what is going to happen in the future. Every game is completely different." Kevin De Bruyne will miss tonight's derby at Old Trafford, a vital game in City's title chase, because of a hamstring problem, and Guardiola is unsure if the midfielder will return to this season. The manager wants De Bruyne's injuries disrupted campaign to be examined this summer. Unfortunately, it was one injury, another one, he said.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. My name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching and have a good night.
Wanatoka katika nchi 4 za Mashariki ya Mbali.
Kuna tour operators kutoka Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines na Thailand.
Wageni hao watakuwa hapa nchini kwa muda wa siku 6. Watakutana na wakala wenzao wa utalii wa hapa Tanzania ambao wengi wao